On January 22, 2023, a discovery so horrifying and tragic sent shockwaves through Bogotá and beyond, altering the lives of countless individuals forever. It began as an ordinary day near the bustling El Dorado International Airport, when a homeless man, searching through trash bins in the hope of finding something valuable, came across a large blue suitcase. The suitcase immediately caught his attention due to its unusual size and weight. With a mix of curiosity and concern, he decided to open it. What he found inside defied comprehension. The suitcase was tightly wrapped in layers of duct tape, as though someone had gone to great lengths to conceal its contents. Undeterred, the man carefully cut through the tape. As he opened the suitcase, he encountered a white garbage bag, its surface marred by ominous bloodstains. Horrified and trembling, he immediately sought out the authorities to report the macabre find. The police responded with remarkable speed, arriving at the scene to secure the area and initiate a thorough investigation. Officers carefully opened the suitcase, revealing a scene that would haunt even the most seasoned among them. Inside was the lifeless body of a young woman, Valentina Trespalacios. Today, we will look at a true crime and examine the evidence and photographs of a woman named Valentina Trespalacios, who entered the world on December 16th, 2001 as the beloved daughter of Giovanni Trespalacios and Laura Hidalgo. Born in the vibrant city of Bogotá, Colombia's sprawling capital, Valentina was the younger of two siblings, growing up alongside her older brother, Daniel. Her early years were a series of joys and upheavals, marked by significant changes that shaped the resilient individual she later became. The family dynamic took a pivotal turn when Valentina's parents separated. The divorce left her mother, Laura Hidalgo, as the sole anchor for the children. Laura worked tirelessly to ensure a stable upbringing for Valentina and Daniel, often juggling multiple jobs to keep the household running. Her ceaseless dedication made her an unwavering source of inspiration for her children. Witnessing their mother's perseverance, Valentina and Daniel developed a profound respect for hard work, a sense of responsibility, and a drive to achieve their goals. As time passed, Laura found love again, which brought more changes to the family. Her new relationship resulted in the birth of two children, a boy and a girl. Valentina and Daniel embraced these new members with open arms, forming a tightly knit and loving family unit. These bonds became a cornerstone of Valentina's identity, teaching her the value of unity and compassion. Valentina's adolescence marked the beginning of her journey toward self-discovery. From a young age, she exhibited a fascination with music and the vibrant nightlife of Bogotá. At just 15, she set foot in her first nightclub, captivated by the energy and rhythm that pulsed through the atmosphere. This experience planted the seeds of what would later grow into her passion and career. By the age of 17, a serendipitous encounter would steer Valentina's life onto a transformative path. During one of Bogotá's pulsating parties, she crossed paths with Pablo Silva, a seasoned entrepreneur with a keen eye for talent. Pablo was immediately struck by Valentina's spark and saw untapped potential in the young woman. Their initial exchanges were lighthearted, but Pablo soon proposed an idea that would change Valentina's life forever: the opportunity to explore the world of DJing. Eager and ambitious, Valentina seized the opportunity with both hands. She began dedicating her free time to learning the intricacies of DJing, immersing herself in the art of mixing beats and crafting musical experiences. Under Pablo's guidance, she advanced rapidly, refining her skills with each passing day. Their professional relationship blossomed into a mentorship that was instrumental in shaping Valentina's burgeoning career. Over the course of 2 years, Valentina poured her heart and soul into her training, culminating in her earning a professional DJ certificate in 2019. Pablo, impressed by Valentina's natural talent and unwavering commitment, took on the role of her manager. His extensive network in the entertainment industry opened doors for Valentina, securing her initial gigs at local clubs in Bogotá. These performances marked the beginning of her ascent, as her charisma and ability to connect with audiences set her apart from others in the industry. The professional partnership between Valentina and Pablo eventually evolved into a romantic relationship, adding a new dimension to their dynamic. Though their romance lasted 3 years, they parted ways amicably, maintaining a strong bond. Pablo continued to manage Valentina's career, remaining deeply invested in her success. As Valentina's career gained momentum, her reputation soared. Her unique ability to read the crowd and deliver electrifying performances made her one of the most sought-after DJs in Colombia. She became a regular fixture at prestigious venues in Bogotá and Medellin, drawing packed crowds and earning a loyal fan base. Her performances were characterized by a seamless blend of energy and artistry, leaving audiences mesmerized. Valentina's burgeoning fame soon transcended Colombia's borders. Invitations to perform at international events began pouring in, with gigs in Chile, Mexico, and Brazil broadening her horizons. These opportunities not only elevated her career, but also solidified her status as a global artist. Her expanding fan base celebrated her versatility, applauding her ability to infuse her cultural roots into her music while adapting to diverse audiences. Parallel to her music career, Valentina ventured into modeling, an industry that readily embraced her natural beauty and distinctive style. This foray into fashion opened new doors, adding another dimension to her public persona. Modeling not only increased her visibility, but also provided an additional source of income, further cementing her status as a multifaceted talent. Despite her rising fame, Valentina remained grounded. She prioritized her family, using her earnings to support her mother and younger siblings. Her acts of generosity and gifts endeared her further to her fans, who admired her unwavering dedication to her loved ones. In early 2022, Valentina's life took a dramatic turn when she crossed paths with an enigmatic figure who would profoundly impact her future. Through a popular dating app, she connected with John Pulos, a 34-year-old American. Despite their significant age difference and the language barrier between them, they forged an unexpected connection. John, whose Spanish skills were minimal, relied heavily on an online translator to communicate with Valentina. This technical hurdle did little to deter their blossoming relationship. John, enchanted by Valentina's beauty and charisma, showed remarkable persistence in communication. John Pulos' introduction to Valentina Palacios' life was marked by long conversations. John talked at length about his life in Texas, his career, and his hobbies, painting the picture of a successful and intriguing man. Valentina, in turn, shared captivating stories of her burgeoning DJ career and her vibrant life in Bogotá. Over the next several weeks, their communication became increasingly intense. Daily messages formed the backbone of their connection, revealing more about their personalities and dreams. John's interest in Valentina's career was particularly striking. He often asked about her performances, upcoming plans, and aspirations in the world of music and modeling. He seemed genuinely invested in understanding her passion, which made her feel valued and supported. After several weeks of virtual communication, John proposed a personal meeting. Valentina, ever open to new experiences, agreed. A scheduled performance at a festival in Mexico provided the perfect opportunity. Mexico's location between Colombia and Texas was ideal, and it became the neutral ground for their first face-to-face encounter. John spared no effort in organizing the meeting, covering all travel expenses and ensuring that their initial interaction would be memorable. When they finally met, the chemistry between them was immediate and undeniable. Despite the language barrier, John's Spanish was limited and Valentina's English wasn't fluent. They communicated effortlessly, finding common ground through shared experiences and mutual admiration. John was captivated by Valentina's beauty, charisma, and infectious energy, while she was struck by his gallantry and apparent generosity. Their time in Mexico was spent exploring the city, savoring the local cuisine, and visiting iconic landmarks. One of the highlights was John attending Valentina's festival performance, where he was amazed by her professionalism and the adoration she received from her fans. The initial meeting was so enjoyable that the pair decided to extend their stay, turning what was meant to be a brief rendezvous into nearly 2 weeks of shared experiences. This time together solidified their bond, transforming their online acquaintance into a romantic relationship. When the time came to part ways, neither wanted to let go of what they had built. After returning to their respective countries, They agreed to continue their relationship despite the geographical distance. John's financial stability allowed him to visit Colombia frequently, strengthening their connection. Each visit was marked by grand gestures, luxurious dinners, extravagant outings, and expensive gifts that impressed not only Valentina but also her family. His generosity extended into her professional life as well. John funded cosmetic procedures and wardrobe upgrades that helped enhance Valentina's image as a model and DJ, bolstering her confidence and career. When physical distance separated them, they maintained their relationship through regular video calls and messages. These virtual interactions were filled with discussions of daily events, future plans, and dreams of traveling the world together. John often expressed admiration for Valentina's talent and success, encouraging her to aim higher in her career. For a time, everything seemed perfect, but subtle cracks began to appear in the foundation of their relationship. John's behavior gradually became more controlling. He started to show unease about Valentina's work environment, particularly her interactions with other men in nightclubs. His insistence on frequent video calls, especially when she was at work, became a source of discomfort for Valentina. What had initially seemed like care and attentiveness began to feel like possessiveness. As their relationship deepened, John's past began to surface, casting a shadow over their bond. Unbeknownst to Valentina, John was a recently divorced father of 3 children. His marriage to Ashley Pulos had ended in January 2022, just months before he met Valentina. The details of his previous life revealed a far more complex and troubling narrative. John's former marriage had been fraught with challenges, particularly after one of his sons was diagnosed with cancer in 2018. The emotional toll of the illness, coupled with the demands of raising 3 children, strained the marriage to its breaking point. According to Ashley, John's demeanor grew increasingly aggressive during this time, leading to irreparable conflicts. The divorce proceedings unveiled even darker aspects of John's character. He had transferred all of their joint assets to an offshore trust, effectively leaving his ex-wife and children without financial support. Furthermore, he refused to pay child support, showing a complete disregard for their well-being. These revelations were not immediately known to Valentina, who only saw the side of John that he presented to her, a charming, successful, and generous man. However, over time, his controlling tendencies and jealousy became harder to ignore. John, who had initially been drawn to Valentina's success, charisma, and popularity, found himself consumed by jealousy and insecurity. He insisted that Valentina video call him every time she attended an event or performance. His need for constant updates on her whereabouts, the people she interacted with, and even her choice of clothing created a palpable strain in their relationship. For Valentina, who deeply valued her independence and professional freedom, John's demands felt suffocating and invasive. The situation escalated when John's distrust reached new heights. Convinced that Valentina might be hiding something from him, he took the drastic step of hiring a private detective to follow her. Valentina's family, who had initially viewed John as a protective and supportive partner, began to share her concerns. Although they had admired his apparent devotion to Valentina, his obsessive behavior raised alarm bells. By December 2022, the relationship had reached a breaking point. Exhausted by John's incessant need for control and his growing suspicion, Valentina decided it was time to end things. She told him she could no longer endure his toxic behavior and wanted to focus on her career and personal growth. For John, the prospect of losing Valentina was unbearable. In a desperate attempt to salvage the relationship, he revealed that he had indeed hired a private detective, claiming that the investigator had confirmed his suspicions of her infidelity. This revelation led to an explosive argument, with Valentina vehemently denying the accusations. The confrontation marked a turning point, forcing both of them to confront the fractures in their relationship. Faced with the imminent collapse of their romance, John abruptly changed tactics. He shifted from accusations to pleas, begging Valentina for forgiveness and promising to change. In a dramatic gesture, he announced his intention to move from Texas to Colombia to be closer to her. John argued that living together would help him overcome his jealousy and insecurities. To further prove his commitment, he proposed marriage, expressing a desire to build a life and family with Valentina. The sincerity of his words, combined with his apparent willingness to make drastic life changes, gave Valentina pause. She struggled to reconcile her doubts with the hope that proximity and shared experiences might heal their relationship. After much deliberation, she decided to give John another chance, agreeing to live together and work on rebuilding their connection. In early 2023, John Pulos made good on his promises to Valentina Tres Palacios. On January 19, he arrived in Bogotá and rented a luxurious apartment in a prestigious residential complex for a short 4-day period. The following day, January 20th, he rented a gray Volkswagen Voyage and helped Valentina move her belongings into their new home. Valentina seemed optimistic about this new chapter in her life. During a video call with her mother, Laura Hidalgo, she conducted a cheerful virtual tour of the apartment, her voice radiating enthusiasm and hope for a fresh beginning. That same evening, the couple ventured out to the nightclub where Valentina was slated to perform as a DJ. Witnesses later recalled seeing the two together at the club, describing them as happy and enjoying themselves, slightly tipsy but not excessively intoxicated. Valentina's magnetic presence lit up the venue as her talent and energy captivated the audience. However, some onlookers noted a palpable tension emanating from John, who appeared uneasy and visibly jealous as Valentina interacted with her fans and other people. Despite his apparent discomfort, the night seemed to conclude without incident. Surveillance footage later captured the couple returning to their apartment together in the early hours of January 21st. On January 22, 2023, at approximately 2 p.m., a chilling discovery shattered the normalcy of a quiet day near the El Dorado International Airport in Bogotá. A homeless man, rummaging through trash bins in search of valuables, stumbled upon a heavy blue suitcase. Intrigued by its weight, he tried to open it and found it tightly sealed with duct tape. Cutting through the tape, he revealed a white garbage bag stained with blood. Horrified by what he had uncovered, the man immediately alerted the authorities. Police officers swiftly descended upon the scene, their faces set with grim determination as they cordoned off the area to prevent contamination of evidence. The crime scene was a desolate spot, eerily quiet, save for the murmured exchanges among the investigators. Inside the unassuming suitcase lay a macabre discovery: the lifeless body of a young woman, her features frozen in a tragic stillness that spoke volumes of her final moments. Alongside her remains, officers found a small black box containing personal items, including a student ID card and a paper identification document. These items left little doubt about the victim's identity. She was Valentina Tres Palacios, a beloved DJ celebrated for her infectious energy, magnetic charisma, and unparalleled musical talent. The shocking revelation of Valentina's identity sent ripples through the community, casting a dark shadow over those who had admired and cherished her. The grim discovery marked the beginning of an exhaustive investigation aimed at unraveling the circumstances surrounding her tragic death. Detectives immediately honed in on reconstructing the events leading up to Valentina's demise. Time became a crucial element as investigators meticulously traced her last known movements, interviewing those closest to her: family members, friends, colleagues, and acquaintances. Each detail of her interactions, no matter how seemingly insignificant, was scrutinized in an effort to form a coherent timeline. A critical clue emerged early in the investigation, raising alarms among those who knew Valentina well. She had missed a scheduled performance at the Nexus Club on January 21st, an event she had eagerly anticipated. Known for her professionalism and unwavering commitment to her craft, this absence was profoundly out of character, setting off a wave of concern among her associates. One of the key figures in the investigation was Valentina's manager, Pablo Silva. Deeply unsettled by her unexplained silence, Pablo had repeatedly attempted to reach her through phone calls and messages. As the hours turned into an agonizing day without any response, Pablo's concerns escalated. In his desperation, he contacted Valentina's mother, voicing his fears and urging her to take action. This pivotal phone call not only galvanized the family into action, but also provided investigators with critical insights into Valentina's personal and professional life. The forensic examination of Valentina's body revealed the horrifying details of her final moments. According to the coroner's report, her death occurred on Saturday, January 21st, the result of a brutal combination of strangulation and blunt force trauma. Her injuries bore testament to the violent struggle she endured. Bruises and abrasions concentrated on her neck, face, and forearms, clear indicators of a desperate fight for survival. Further examination uncovered lacerations inside her mouth, underscoring the sheer brutality of the attack. The fact that Valentina's body was discovered clad in a nightgown suggested that the assault likely took place as she prepared for bed or had already retired for the night. This chilling detail hinted at the element of surprise, which may have left her unable to mount an effective defense against her assailant. The emerging profile of the crime led investigators to focus on a potential motive rooted in jealousy and control. In private conversations with friends, she had confided her intention to end the relationship, a revelation that, investigators theorized, could have provoked a dangerous and ultimately deadly reaction from John. As the investigation deepened, the Bogotá police launched a comprehensive operation to gather evidence and identify potential witnesses. Detectives meticulously combed through video footage from surveillance cameras near the site where Valentina's body was discovered, as well as recordings from locations she had recently visited. Special attention was given to footage from the residential complex where Valentina had been living with John. These recordings proved instrumental in piecing together the sequence of events leading up to her death. John Pulos emerged as the prime suspect almost immediately. As Valentina's boyfriend and the last person known to have seen her alive, his actions and whereabouts were scrutinized with intense focus. Suspicion deepened when it was discovered that John had left Colombia on the very day Valentina's body was found. Investigators quickly pieced together evidence of a calculated and deliberate escape plan. On January 22, the day of the grim discovery, John boarded a flight to Panama, initiating a carefully orchestrated attempt to evade capture. John's actions in the hours and days following Valentina's death painted a picture of premeditation and intent. He deactivated all his social media accounts, effectively erasing his digital presence and making it significantly more challenging for authorities to track his movements. Additionally, John made a calculated move to turn off his phone. By eliminating the most common tool for surveillance, John ensured that his trail would be obscured. Carrying $7,000 in cash and an array of bank cards, John gave every indication that he was prepared for a prolonged period on the run. The amount of cash suggested careful premeditation, as it would allow him to operate without relying on traceable digital transactions. The multiple bank cards, likely registered under aliases or false identities, provided him with additional flexibility and a means to extend his mobility if his primary resources were compromised. John's escape strategy was a complex web of misdirection and deception, designed to confound even the most experienced investigators. His initial move involved fleeing to Panama, a country known for its bustling airports and frequent international flights, making it an ideal staging ground for his next steps. From there, he planned to board a flight bound for Istanbul, Turkey. However, Istanbul was not his final destination. It was merely a waypoint in a much larger, carefully orchestrated journey. His true goal lay in Montenegro, a small Balkan nation that held a crucial advantage for someone in his position: the absence of an extradition treaty with Colombia. This detail was no coincidence. Choice of a location that could potentially shield him from legal consequences. To further complicate matters and throw investigators off his trail, John purchased multiple tickets to alternative destinations, including São Paulo, Brazil. This tactic was a stroke of brilliance in its simplicity. By creating a series of false leads, he ensured that authorities would have to expend valuable time and resources pursuing dead ends. Moreover, John paid for all of these tickets exclusively in cash, an intentional move to eliminate any trail that could tie him to a specific itinerary. These calculated actions did not go unnoticed. Colombian authorities quickly recognized the sophistication of John's maneuvers, solidifying their belief that he was not only involved in the crime, but was also the mastermind behind it. His deliberate and methodical approach elevated him from a mere suspect to the central figure in the investigation. The evidence pointing to his guilt was compelling enough to warrant immediate and decisive action. An international arrest warrant was issued. Colombian authorities, determined to bring him to justice, enlisted the support of Interpol and other international law enforcement agencies. As part of their efforts, they announced a substantial reward: 20 million Colombian pesos, approximately $45,000, for any information leading to John's capture. The pursuit quickly escalated into a high-stakes international manhunt. John Pulos' escape attempt culminated in a dramatic turn of events. Colombian police, working in tandem with Interpol and Panamanian law enforcement, managed to apprehend John at the Panama airport mere minutes before he was scheduled to board a flight to Istanbul. The arrest, conducted under intense circumstances, marked a pivotal moment in the investigation. During the detention, officers discovered a significant amount of cash and several credit cards in his possession. Additionally, scratches were observed on John's face, which investigators speculated were consistent with defensive wounds inflicted during a struggle with Valentina Tres Palacios. When questioned about his escape, John provided an unconvincing explanation, claiming he was fleeing from the Medellin cartel. He alleged that the cartel was responsible for Valentina's murder and was now pursuing him. This narrative was quickly dismissed by investigators as implausible, given the lack of any evidence supporting such claims. His detention in Panama not only thwarted his escape, but also presented a critical opportunity for investigators to gather further evidence and interrogate the suspect. Within 24 hours of his capture, on January 26, 2023, John was extradited to Colombia. His arrival in Bogotá became a highly publicized event, drawing significant media and public attention. Security measures were heightened as John was escorted off the plane, with both police and journalists present to capture the moment. Images of John disembarking revealed the scratches on his face, reinforcing suspicions about his direct involvement in Valentina's death. Following his arrival, John was immediately transferred to a high-security detention facility for initial interrogations. During these sessions, he continued to insist on his innocence, reiterating his narrative about being pursued by a cartel. However, investigators quickly identified numerous inconsistencies in his story. Meanwhile, John's legal team began crafting a defense strategy. They argued that John's limited understanding of Spanish prevented him from fully comprehending the charges against him, a tactic designed to challenge the prosecution's case and create grounds for potential appeals. While John's defense attempted to buy time, investigators worked tirelessly to solidify their case. Surveillance footage from the residential complex where John and Valentina had stayed emerged as a critical piece of evidence. On January 19, cameras captured John checking into the apartment with a large blue suitcase, later identified as the instrument used in the crime. Additional footage from January 20 showed the couple entering the building together, a haunting record of Valentina's final moments alive. The most damning piece of video evidence surfaced from the early morning hours of January 22nd. Security cameras recorded John wheeling a heavy blue suitcase concealed under a blanket out of the apartment and loading it into the trunk of a rented car. His visible difficulty in handling the suitcase underscored its significant weight, raising immediate suspicions about its contents. Subsequent recordings tracked John's car as it navigated through the city, making a crucial stop near the location where Valentina's body was later discovered. These visual records were instrumental in establishing a clear chronology of events and linking John directly to the crime. The forensic examination provided further critical evidence. Experts determined that Valentina's death resulted from strangulation, and the extensive bruising and abrasions on her body indicated a brutal attack. Scratch marks on John's face, consistent with defensive wounds from Valentina's nails, added another layer of incriminating evidence. Combined with John's hasty escape and inconsistent explanations, these findings formed a compelling case for the prosecution, painting a chilling picture of the crime. As the investigation progressed, new details about Valentina's personal life began to surface, shedding light on potential motives for the crime. Investigators uncovered that, since November 2022, Valentina had been involved in a romantic relationship with a successful businessman named Santiago Luna. Santiago Luna, a successful businessman who lived in a luxurious penthouse and owned an enviable fleet of expensive cars, represented a stark contrast to John Pulos in Valentina Palacios' life. Santiago's sophistication, wealth, and charm presented an alluring alternative to her tumultuous relationship with John. Although their relationship was kept secret from John, investigators now suspect that he may have discovered it shortly before the tragedy, setting off a chain of events that would culminate in Valentina's murder. On January 28, 2023, the first court hearing in the case against John Pulos took place. The proceedings drew widespread public and media attention, transforming the trial into a high-profile event that captivated Colombia. During the hearing, John was formally charged with the brutal murder of Valentina Palacios and the concealment of evidence. Prosecutors did not hold back in their presentation, highlighting the severity and brutality of the crime. They presented compelling pieces of evidence, including surveillance footage capturing John's movements and the results of the forensic examination that outlined the extent of Valentina's injuries. The prosecution's narrative portrayed John as a man who had meticulously planned the crime, contradicting his claims of innocence. From the outset, John's defense team deployed delaying tactics in an effort to undermine the proceedings. They filed complaints alleging that his detention at Panama's airport had been conducted illegally, arguing that his rights were violated during the arrest. Despite their efforts, the court allowed the trial to proceed. Adding to the drama of the session, John's own behavior during the hearing raised eyebrows. At several points, he was seen laughing inappropriately, prompting a stern reprimand from the judge. Observers interpreted his demeanor as a sign of disrespect toward the court and a lack of gravity regarding the charges against him. Prosecutors advanced the argument that John had premeditated the crime. They pointed to the short-term nature of his apartment rental, a mere 4 days, which contradicted his promises to Valentina of a long-term commitment and cohabitation. This detail, they argued, demonstrated a calculated intent to use the apartment as the setting for his horrific actions before fleeing the country. The trial promised to be lengthy and complex, with the international elements of the case adding further complications. If found guilty, John faced a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison. The severity of the charges and the mounting evidence against him suggested a grim outcome for the accused. During the court proceedings, the judge ruled that the evidence presented by prosecutors was sufficient to establish John Pulos' guilt. In addition to sentencing John to prison, the court imposed further restrictions. He was prohibited from approaching or attempting to contact Valentina's family for 20 years and ordered to be expelled from Colombia immediately upon completing his sentence. These measures were intended to protect the victim's family from further distress and ensure their safety. John's defense team announced their intention to appeal the ruling. They argued that the charges of femicide were inappropriate, contending that John should have been tried for homicide instead. Under Colombian law, femicide, the killing of a woman specifically due to her gender, is treated as a more heinous crime than homicide and carries significantly harsher penalties. This distinction became a focal point of contention between the prosecution and the defense. Ultimately, justice was served. On Tuesday, John Pulos was sentenced to over 42 years in prison for the murder of Valentina Palacios.